Right, so you join us on Monk's Pit, and I'm here with Perry Alabaster, and we have a bit of a wind up on the team page, don't we? Because every time you post a fish, it's either a upper 30 or a 40 bloody pounder.
And 50s.
And 50s, yeah, well, yeah. So we thought you're having a really good spell of form at the moment, so we've come down to Monk's Pit, which is your syndicate. Looks lovely. I've never been here before. Tell me a little bit about the lake and tell me a bit about your time on the lake, Perry.
Yeah, so my time on the lake is my second spell here.
Okay.
I was on here for about 5 years, and about 2010, somewhere around that.
Yeah.
And I come back this is my 4th season back on here, so 9 in total.
Right, okay.
Yeah, as I've said before, everything's sort of changed, the fish stock has changed and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying it. It's a whole new stock from when I was on here before.
Yeah.
There's not many fish what used to be on here.
So you talk about the stock. Obviously, I know there's a lot of big ones in here, but give us an idea of numbers, 40s, 50s, what's actually in this lake?
40s, the general consensus is there's about anywhere between 30 and 40 40s roughly.
My God, I need to move further south, right? Okay, so, and 1 or 2 50-pounders?
At least 3 known 50s at the moment.
Right,
yeah.
so there's some mega target fish there.
Should probably 4 actually. There's one that's not been seen for a couple of years. Everyone's open, still alive. But yeah, I think 4 50s.
Okay.
Couple knocking on the door like 49s and things, potentially 5 or 6.
Sound.
Yeah.
So we're in the early part of spring. Obviously, your start's been really good for you in here. Tell us a little bit about your last 4 sessions, because it's been pretty crazy, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, the last 4 have been really good. I was down here about 4 weeks ago, and there's a couple of swims down the bank there. It had been shut for a little while, for about 4 or 5 weeks, where it got flooded.
Okay.
It's actually called the swamp, ironically enough, and that seems to be why, because it does flood. Yeah, so that was shut while they're just repairing the ground and letting the water level settle.
Okay.
And obviously where there's no lines and things, the fish just seem to gather in there.
Right, yeah.
So one session when I got a chance, I came in this swim, which is the underpass where I am now.
Okay.
It's about 2 swims away, but I generally sort of aim my lines towards there. It's sort of a no-brainer where there's been no lines. And I ended up fishing just one rod, almost like match tactics. I was catching, having another rod wrapped up at the same.
Is that fishing singles or bags? What?
Sometimes it was casting singles.
Yeah.
Sometimes to get a bit further over, you can use a boat on here.
All right.
Sometimes I'd boat one a little bit further.
Okay.
And then as they come sort of nearer this way, I find I could just cast a single to them.
Yeah.
But whatever I done, whatever I put over there, whether it be a zig, a single, a bag, it seemed to work. They were stacked up in there.
Right. Okay.
I ended up with 18 fish on that session.
Wow. And that was in March, I'm guessing, was it?
I think that was March.
Yeah.
That sort of kick-started the last few sessions, because even though they seem to have moved out there, the swim's opened, it's got a bit more pressure. Yeah. And they've moved out. They seem to be like all over the lake now. Yeah. But this swim, sort of 2 swims away, they still seem to be holding up quite a lot in this area.
So this is the deeper side of the lake, you still think, because I mean we are on quite a cold northerly at the moment, aren't we? So you think the fish are still holding up in the deeper side of the lake?
I'm hoping so. This is the deeper end, yeah. And I've been concentrating on this side, and that side is the deeper end, and then that side's the shallow end.
Okay, yeah, got you.
Yeah, and I've had a few good hits the last few weeks of like 8s and 10 fish and things.
Hey, that's mega.
That
is mega angling, isn't it?
It's been like 42 fish the last 4 sessions, which is the best spell I've had on here, I think.
Staggering. So what we'll do is, you're fishing now. I mean, obviously you was already set up when I got down here, so we'll talk a little bit about what bait and tactics you've been doing, because obviously they've been super successful for you. But for the time being, we'll let you get back to your bivvy, and we'll see how the rest of the morning pans out for you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, mate.
All right, Perry.
Thank you. I got down here this morning early doors. It was about 3:30 in the morning. You're not supposed to come in here till 4 o'clock, so I waited at the gate. I wanted to be in here like first thing because I fancied the swamp swim, which is Andy Sargent is in there. There's another DNA lad. He's going tomorrow, so bucketed that swim, and my plan is to move in behind him. But I've gone in the swim I've been in the last couple of weeks, this swim called the Underpass. I've had quite a few fish out of here the last few weeks. It don't look ideal. The wind is coming into this swim, sort of northeasterly. The last few weeks where it's produced for me, it's been a southwesterly, so the wind's been coming over my head. So I've been fishing like behind the wind, on the wind line. This time it's sort of in my face. But Andy's had a couple up there. He still looks good in that corner, so if this doesn't produce, I will be moving up there. But I'm still quite confident in this swim. I've got 3 out at the moment. I've got 1 on a zig, because they seem to be producing on zigs at the moment. It's high pressure today. So I've got 1 out there at about 13-foot zig. I've got 1 at 23 wraps straight out, and I've got 1 at 18 wraps just slightly left. So yeah, we'll just see what happens today, but I've got a good move on the cards if it's quiet. So it's just gone 5 o'clock and I've decided to redo these rods. I've seen fish show this last 15-20 minutes. So I've decided to stick 1 zig out because there are a couple of fish coming out on zigs at the moment. I've stuck one somewhere within the region of where it is, and I think I'll be leaving that one out tonight on a zig. I quite fancy that one. It was only 50-60 yards, so it's an easy chuck. I can always move that one about, put it on his head if I see one show. And these other 2, I've got a load of pre-tied bags here, big and small, depending on the range I go. That's a medium-y sort of range bag. I can chuck 20 or so wraps. It's got a load of mini crayfish pellets. There's a few maxi ones in there. It's got a little PB wafter in. I can inject that with some of the smoke as well, just to give it a little kick. That'll be going out in the middle on me 18 wrap range where I've been fishing actually on that one. And then I'll probably do another bag for the slightly longer range one to the left. That's been working for me in here lately, so hopefully that'll be okay for tonight. So I've had tea and the rods are all set for tonight. I've got 2 on my usual positions, on the usual spots that I've had fish on the last couple of weeks, but I have left 1 out on a zig tonight. Not something I normally do, but they have been coming out on zigs. They do look a bit ziggy tonight. There's been a lot of shows, little flaps on the surface, so couldn't resist leaving 1 out. I'll talk about more tactics and things in the morning, but it does look good for a bite, so yeah, fingers crossed. Well, I just woke up to motionless rods sitting there gutted, looking at the water. I can't believe they hadn't gone off. And I was looking at fish showing to my left, so I was thinking I should swap the zig one around from the right to the left. And while I'm sitting there thinking about that, the bottom one rattled off on the left, so that's very nice. It's taken a lot of line, this fish. I've only just turned it back round, which don't always mean it's a big one in here. Sometimes them ones about sort of mid-20 can just go absolutely nuts and just tear off, take loads and loads of line. And luckily I seem to have turned this one, so fingers crossed it's coming in now. But, yeah, relief. Sitting there gutted I was that they hadn't gone, but hopefully they're off and running. Come on, behave. A little flick over the dorsal always gets the arc going. Normally get an epic battle under the rod tips now, but Monk's Pit on most of these swims, they're deep margins. So you get to about 15, 20 yards out and you feel like you've got the fish beat. And then you've got another 10 minutes of it just circling around the bottom, around the, under the rod tips. Just tempting to pull it up and try and see your leader, but you're sort of 15 to 20 foot down there. It's, could be close to the bottom still, but yeah, it gets the arc going, gets the old knees trembling. Don't even think it's that big, this one, but they do fight like mad in here under the rod tips. It's got a lot of the blue dye in this lake, so you have to be within about a foot of the surface before you even see the fish, so it's very tempting to just pull it that bit extra and sort of get a glimpse of it, but you see a greeny looking shape normally about a foot under the surface, but still haven't seen this one. I do just hang on under your rod tips for ages, yeah. So hard to judge what you've got at the end here sometimes. I don't think doesn't feel like it's using a lot of weight, it's just knocking around a lot. Hallelujah. First one of the session in the net. At last, it's still hard to tell, mid-20 maybe, but happy days, off the mark. Right, well here's the fish I just had. So much for a mid-20. You never can tell when they go in the net. 37.2 of monk's pet chunk. So, very pleased with that. Got a bit of a camera curse when the DNA boys come down. Takes me a while to catch them. Sometimes I don't get them at all. Normally a little double if I do get one. So, this puts that to bed a little bit. So, really pleased with this monk's pit unit. £37.2 on a little PB wafter in a bag. A little injection of the S7 Amino Smoke. That stuff has been awesome since I've started using it. Hopefully the first of a few now. Lovely start. Yeah, stay right there for a sulk, wouldn't he, look? So a little morning update after the first 24 hours. You're getting a slightly happier me than you would have. I was ready to sit here, miserable faced, telling you about the rigs that should be working, the bait that should be working, what hasn't. But thankfully after that fish, I can tell you what has been working. I'll briefly go over some of the stuff I've been using for this spring campaign, which has worked well for me. So bait wise, even though I've had that fish, it's not been prolific last night. It still looks good in the swim two along. Andy, the other DNA guys, just had a fish, a 27. There's still fish showing in that swim, and I still feel like it'd be a good move. So we're going to move up there soon once he's gone. I plan to spot a little bit out in there, have a little baited area. Generally would do that on one rod. Very simple spod mix. I've just put hemp, plenty of chop boilie in there, like S7. I'd normally either go with the new DNA Hydro or my old faithful S7 Hydro. I've put the S7 Hydro in this one because, as I say, it's a very S7 based mixed. What I would add to that when I put it out, I don't normally put these in because I don't like them turning to mush the night before. So just before I spot that out, I would add the usual ever faithful crayfish pellets. I've got a 50-50 mix there of the mini mix and the maxi mix. I like to mix them both together. So there's all sorts of sizes. There's the little ones to keep them grubbing around, and the bigger ones come in a few different sizes. So that gives you a nice variation of size in the mix. I'll put them in just before that gets spotted out. Maybe add a little bit more hydro. And I'm in, one sec. So just as I was there talking about the bait, the one bait I didn't quite get around to talking about was my Zig, which is a little bit of black and red foam, and it's been soaking in a little bit of S7 Intense Booster, which is what I've got my pop-ups in. And that has just produced this bite. This is the one I repositioned a little while ago where I see fish. So I moved it from right to left and I put it on his head. Be nice if it was the fish what I saw, because that was big. Going to be nervous playing this one now because it is on a long Zig, but yeah, that's seems to have paid off, switching that rod. Yeah, I'm just thankful I got up first light. I was up before that first fish rattled off earlier. Literally first light about 5 in the morning, it started getting light. And even though most of the shows have been in the swim that I'm moving into, just catching this one nut out in the water made me move that rod. So yeah, it just shows how vital it is to keep your eyes on the water all the time. Be ready to make that switch if you have to, because they respond well to a bait on the head here, whether it be a bottom bait or a Zig. It's always worth chucking one on them. You chase them around sometimes, but especially with a Zig, and when they're high up in the water, it can be a very quick take sometimes. Can't tell, mate. I thought the last... Oh, it's off, isn't it? Oh, no. Oh. So unfortunately, the little interruption we had there, that was the take on the zig, the one I recasted, but I lost that one. I bloody hate losing fish. I haven't lost one for ages on the bottom. Get one on a zig and I lose it, but never mind, stay happy. Anyway, so that was me spod mix, what I'll be putting out, nice and simple. I'll just spod slightly beyond my hook bait so they're not feeding all over me lines. I'll have a little baited area, and if that goes off, I'll probably move 2 into that area. I'll definitely scrap the zigs, and hopefully we'll be rocking and rolling in the new swim. So that's that approach. A good thing that's been working for me a lot lately on here is the solid bag approach. So these little beauties, again, I've only got mini and a few maxi crayfish pellets in there. It's mostly made up of the mini ones, I'd say 2/3, because obviously they fold down, squash down tighter with a bag. You can get them nice and tight and compact. It's more aerodynamic. That I can put, sometimes I put a couple of little chop boilies in there, sometimes I won't. I just rely on the power of the pellets. But obviously the main thing to get that more attractive is that you can easily inject that with the Amino Smoke, fill it up until it all sort of puffs out there basically, and that just is a high attraction bait. So that one I should be able to cast sort of 20 or so wraps depending on the wind direction. When it's a lot more choppy on here, sometimes you get a great big side wind or a headwind and you want to go a little bit further. For accuracy, just so it goes down in one hit and you're not spotting all round, just to keep everything tight, I'll use a much bigger bag, which is these big chunky socks. They're better to put out in a bait boat, to be fair, because it's just going to drop nice and compact. You haven't got to worry about trying to chuck that out 25 wraps or so. So that's the sort of size I would put if I'm putting it out in the boat. Again, a little injection of the smoke, then that makes that super high attract. One of the main reasons I do like a extra long bag like that, so I'll basically make that as long as I can physically cast it, and if it has to go out in a boat then so be it. But I like it that long because then the hook link of about sort of 4 or 5 inches is hardly being curled up at all, so it's being masked nicely by the pellet when that all breaks up, and it's not all curled round, there's no danger of tangles, so when that breaks up it's already sitting quite flat, so you get an instant jolt on the lead. It's an inline lead in there, so I just think the hook holds on that are just absolutely nailing the fish. As I say, touch wood, I've not lost one for a very long time using that bag method. I've got a lead-free leader of about 2 to 3 foot already tied on that, so all that's got to be done now is tied to the loop onto my main line and they're ready to go. As I say, I've got all different sizes depending on the distance I'm fishing with the bags. So quickly onto the rigs. For the bags, very basic PVA bags, bag rigs. I do try and keep things as simple as I can. This is the one that caught me the fish earlier, the 37. PB wafter. It's done me loads of fish this year. It's absolutely cracking bait. It's just a simple piece of braid. It's 15. Sometimes I use a 20 pound. Just braid all the way through. It's not coated or nothing. Little loop on the end, connected to a quick clip and a sleeve. It's on a size 4 beak point hook. There's no kicker or anything there. It doesn't need any sort of kicker or anything like that. There's plenty of movement there. All I've got is a 2mm piece of shrink tube there, which is just steamed just to shrink down, trap the hair, so it's all kept in line like that. I may change that length of that rig depending on the size of the bag, but I do try and keep them so that they're going to be straight in the bag as opposed to a big curl up which can tangle your rig. So for peace of mind, I'd rather that just goes dead straight. The other variation, the other baits I've been using, obviously depends on my feet, how I feel on the day. The crayfish wafters have been awesome. I've had some big fish on those. The S7 pink, if I fancy a pink day rather than a yellow. And my PB the other week came on the new half-tone orange S7. So I didn't really want to tell you that because that has been an awesome bait as well. We'll keep that one quiet. For the rig I'm going to put out over the spod mix, if I go with a bottom bait, which I probably will, again, very simple rig. This is the same sort of bottom bait rig I've used for donkey's years. No reason to change this. Same sort of process really, just again, no kicker or anything. It doesn't need it. It's coated braid. Just the last inch or so I sort of peel off there. So that's got a bit of movement, just that last inch or so. Again, a little piece of shrink tube to trap the hair. Actually, the important part of the rigs I'm using, which I should point out, just the little gap, the separation between the bottom of the hook and the hook bait. I think that's the most important part of this rig, or any rig I use. I don't like it right up like that. I like sort of 8 to 10 mil gap there. And that seems to absolutely nail them. Very, very rarely get a hook pull with that setup. Again, with the inline lead, so you're in direct contact with the fish as soon as that goes. That's as simple as it is for me rigs. So we're going to fish the rest of this session for now, next couple of hours, doing the same thing, 2 on the bottom, 1 on a zig. Preferably the one on the bottom will go and not the zig, but can't choose that. It is what it is. I still fancy the move up there. There's still fish up there, and he's just had that 27, as we see. It's a lovely fish. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up there, and hopefully we'll see some more nice big chunky monks fish on the mat. Right, Andy's gone from the swim I wanted, so I've shot up here like a rat up a drain pipe. We've seen fish in here, me and the cameraman Vinny. So I've got one on the margin, PVA bag, which is the thing that worked for me last night. We've seen a couple show as well, so I've got one, I chucked a zig on his head, but a couple of shows we've seen, they've topped, and then all of a sudden a couple of minutes later we see a bit of fizzing. So I think they're getting down there as well. So I've just tied up a little hinge rig, a little PB pop-up, and I'm going to shove that on the other one that showed. And then nicely, one was straight out, one was slightly left, and then my margin rod is right over to the left. So they're nicely sort of spaced out. So sometimes that just gets you a quick bite, a little single on a PB, the single PB on a little hinge rig. A couple of weeks ago I had a few doing that, just casting singles at them. So fingers crossed we'll be in for some action soon. So first bit of action in the new swim, and this one's not been out very long. It's the little bag I just chucked out to the left with the S7 Amino Smoke in it. I can't remember the actual hook bait. I don't know whether it's an S7 wafter or a PB, but it's one of them I think. Might be an S7 actually. But yeah, quite a quick bite, so good sign. Oh, 2 at once. I'm just in my praying position at the moment, Vinny. Carp gods. Sure, them crayfish pellets give these fish energy, you know. I haven't seen it yet. Can't be far off the surface now. Really? Come on. Hey, gets in. Jesus. Might be a bit bigger than we think. Got a little bit of width to it, isn't it? A little bit of depth. So second bite of the session, but first one from the new swim. Been in there a couple of hours now. See a bit of fizzing to the left, so chucked a PVA bag out short, and this one's turned up. 30 pound, 10 ounces. So that's a nice start in a new swim. Really happy with that one. PB wafter again, crayfish pellets, plenty of Amino Smoke S7. I think there'll be more to come in that swim. There's a fizzing all over the place. There's a few heads come out, tail flips. It's looking lively down there. Should be more to come. I'm in this time on the single pop-up what I lobbed out, but I moved it literally about 10-15 minutes ago to a show on the far margin. Fair way out, it's probably getting on for 100 yards out, but once they get to that margin they obviously can't go a lot further, and they normally hang about there, so a single can pick them off. And yeah, I've lobbed this one out and it's not taken long and it's torn off, so looking really good over this swim. There's still fish nutting out everywhere and it's fizzing all over the place. Yeah, it's looking really good for a bite or two, so we shall see. Scaly one, Vinny. Yeah. That time we got a pretty one. Whoa, 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 what? Get your head out. Ooh. Nice. Yeah, a cracker that, isn't it? Right, I've been watching the water like a hawk today because it's been flat calm in front of me, so there's been a lot of ripples, a lot of bubbling, a lot of fizzing, a few little heads out and shows. It's definitely a lot of fish in my swim. And I see a fish show on the margin, probably about 90 to 100 yards out a little while ago. So I repositioned my single with just a single pop-up on a hinge rig, PB pop-up, chucked it out there, and probably 20 minutes later, got me third fish of the session. It's the third 30 of the session. It's gone £30 8. Yeah, and so I'm absolutely buzzing with this one. This is a cracker. Look at that for a lovely scaly banger, £30 8, Monk's Pet carp. Absolutely buzzing with that one. So I think tonight I'm going to keep a single out there. I'll keep my ears and eyes open, maybe cast to any showing fish if I can see where they've shown. But that margin is going to be a winner, I think. So that's going back out over there. I think a PVA bag is going down the side where I've had a fish today. The other one's already in position, again on the margin. They're all sort of going slightly left, my rods tonight. They're all on PBs now, because that seems to be the winning colour this week, yellow. So I've got 2 PB wafters out there. I've got the Amino Smoke in the bag. I've got a PB pop-up out there. Mega confident in all that bait. Yeah, I'm really confident for tonight now. It's going really well in the new swim. So hopefully we'll have some more of these to show you soon. Right, I'm just about to get the rods out for the night on my second night. I'm going to leave one where it is, even though it's not gone off today, because that was the one I really thought would go off on the margin over to my left. So I'm still confident in that. I'm going to leave that one. The one I picked up a fish from earlier on the left here, the short range bag, I feel like they sort of move out from that bay sometimes at night, and I've not put any bait out yet. They don't seem to be responding well to bait this week. People have been catching on zigs, little bits and pieces. I've caught on singles. So I'm just going to put a few spoms out, one little bag with the crayfish pellets, the smoke, the PB wafter, which seems to be working well. I'm just going to put a little bit of bait in the open water. Put my little spod mix, as I showed earlier, over that with the crumbed F7, the crayfish and the hemp. Stick a bit more S7 Hydro spod syrup on it. And the single, which I just had that lovely scaly 30 on, that's gone back out pretty much on the same spot, sort of 90 odd yards over to the left. I'm going to leave that where it is because I quite fancy that, if not tonight, for the morning. So I'm going to get that bag out there now, get a little bit of bait around it, and hopefully that'll draw something in through the night. Yeah, this swim don't always produce for me at night. I've fished it quite a lot and it can be dead during the night, but first thing in the morning can be good. So I'm fairly optimistic, especially with the open water rod, but if not, hopefully we'll have an update in the morning. Fingers crossed. So as I thought might happen, it was fairly quiet last night, but that left-hand rod that I was expecting to go all the time has finally gone. I just woke up about 15-20 minutes ago thinking it might go, because I just see fish over there actually, and looked down at my boots thinking, yeah, I'll slip them on soon just in case I get a take. Off it went. I'm running out in my socks, totally ignoring my boots like I normally do. Never think about putting the boots on when I get a take. So yeah, nice start to the day, hopefully first of a few before we go home. Running me ragged already like they always do. So this marginal spot, I've had this one from, it's done me quite a few fish over the last few sessions. Very much a morning spot it seems to be. It never seems to go off during the night. And anything from like first thing in the morning till about midday, sometimes later on in the day, seems to produce. It's one of them areas, obviously it's a margin spot, so the fish showing the swim in front of you, they get over there and obviously they can't go a lot further and they seem to just hang about there. So even though it didn't go all day yesterday, I always feel like that one's one just to leave alone and stick with, never really change it. So yeah, it's nice to see that one go, because I feel like there's always more when it comes from there. There's a big marginal shelf over there, it slopes up, and sometimes I'm up the shelf, sometimes I'm on the bottom of it. Depends on the conditions and where the fish feel like being, but I seem to have found them this week. Not the best at judging them, but this doesn't feel big, to be honest. I think it's going to be a bit of a smaller one, but I'll take them all welcomely received. And she goes. So here's one from early this morning on the margin rod. I really fancied that rod to go. So once that goes, I'm always confident for more on that. So hopefully there will be more following this one. Just a few ounces short of 20. Not the biggest Monkspit resident, but very welcome. No doubt he'll be a giant one day. Very distinctive markings both sides as well, so it's going to be a recognisable fish. Yeah, nice start to the day. ~11, Vinny. So literally with minutes to go on this session, all my gear's packed away on the barrel. I've just got these 3 rods out and the bivvy to put away. But we're just having a chat with a guy who's going to come in this swim, or he's thinking about it, and saying about what a prolific bite time between 11 and half 11 is. I said you can almost set your watch by it in this swim. The amount of bites I've had between 11 and half 11. I was talking to someone last week about that, and it rattled off at 11:15, and he laughed because it was sort of what I was saying. And then this one has just gone off bang on 11:15, which is freaky. It's yeah, very much a pattern in this swim for when these carp come along this margin. On the PB wafter again, in a bag, injection of the S7 smoke. Doesn't feel like a big one, but again, very welcome. Well, what a way to end this session. All my gear's on the barra. I've just got one rod out there now. This one, PB pop-up in the little bag again, crayfish pellets, injection of the Amino Smoke S7, and this was the result. 5th fish of the session, full 30, 32 pound 6, beautiful monk's pit common. Absolutely over the moon with this fish. That continues my nice little purple patch. I think that's fish number 48 of the last 5 sessions. Using the products you've seen. The Amino Smoke. The PB wafters have done it this week. Seem to get on the yellow. It's been tough conditions. A lot of northeasterly winds, high pressure. So the bites haven't come quite as thick and fast this week as they have done the last few weeks. So I've gone with whatever worked, which was the yellows this week. I've stuck with it and just used them in various ways, like on the PB, pop up on a hinge rig, the bags, but the bags have worked a treat again this week with the smoke. So yeah, delighted to end on that. Fantastic result.